For me, love is when there is no definition. I know what love is when I feel it. It's real, and I don't attempt to define it. I don't attempt to make sense of it. I'm Michael Nelson, and I was a dog trainer at the California Men's Colony.
Christopher Michael Blem, incarcerated for aiding and abetting first-degree murder.
Wesley Burt, incarcerated for second-degree murder and attempted murder.
My first encounter with the puppies at the California Men's Colony was passing by through the prison, and I would see the other handlers with their dogs, and with permission they would let me pet them. It was unreal. Like, it brought me back to my childhood. I wanted to work with puppies because I grew up with dogs. Through my parents' divorce, I lost my first dog, and for many years I struggled with the idea of what happened to her, and it just felt very healing for me, the idea of working with dogs.
I grew up with dogs. My first dog was stolen. That was a heartbreak. So I've always had dogs. I just feel like they've always got me better than people, because you can always be genuine with your dog.
So the mission of New Line Canine is saving lives through the healing power of the human canine bond. Basically, we're teaching service dogs to help first responders and veterans with post-traumatic stress. I'm just teaching dogs all day, right? Making an impact on them, they're making an impact on me.
The impact they've had in my life, it's emotional, it's mental, physical, all of it. Because as I work with the dogs, I didn't realize how cut off I was from myself, I guess is the word, or how numb I was. As I continue to be in this program, I'm learning oh, this is what it's like to really care, to be genuine, to open up, because I open up to each dog I work with.
The dogs look at life differently. They're very forgiving. They love you unconditionally. So, they've taught me a great deal.
When you make eye contact with your dog, it's actually creating a hormone called oxytocin in you and your dog. And that hormone is the exact same hormone that when parents are bonding with offspring or newborns, that allows for your relationship with your infant to basically become loving and caring and nurturing.
I forget about where I'm at for a time, right? I go someplace else. I get more of the childhood that I never had.
Training Eddie definitely felt like what I imagined it would be to raise a child. There are many instances where I felt like my mother came out in me and I became this parent, and I was reminded of childhood experiences where I was like, oh, I remember this. There was many opportunities for me to look at myself and do some really deep heart work around being a child of somebody, and then also now being in this role of parent. And the experience with Eddie definitely helped me learn how to be more present, more loving, more compassionate for a being in the role of a child. He really taught me a lot about how to show up for him.
I have 2 kids. I love them dearly, and I used to think I loved them, like as a dad should. And then after working with dogs and just growing as a person, I realized like I may have loved them, but I wasn't showing it by my actions, not by what I was doing. Faith she's my little lady. I see myself in her because she's small. I'm not the biggest guy, so she's small and she's spunky. She's got attitude. She knows when you're asking her to do some things, and then sometimes she's just like, I don't care, I'm gonna do what I want. She's so loving. So for me, being able to wake up to that, like she wants to hang out with me. She loves me. She sees me across the yard and comes running to me. She's like a mini escape. Like my time with her, it's just like, I don't care what's going on. It could be the worst day in the world.
I think the impact on actually being able to reach out into the community and give positive change and seeing that, knowing that you can potentially help save a life. It's one thing all of our veterans have said who've received a dog is that, you know, it saved their life, and that makes a big impact.
What I often tell the guys on the inside when I go in is that I remind them that they have value. I also remind them that they have a responsibility to live fully, even in prison, that they have so much to offer to each other, to themselves, to their folks on the outside. But my main message to them is that they have value, and I think by me keeping to my word and committing to them by going back and showing up, that in itself is a reminder to them that they have worth, and that just because they're in there, that they're not forgotten.
The program fits in with redemption. I mean, you're trying to save a life. I took a life. Now I want to save a life. I don't know if I can ever be redeemed. I don't, you know, I gave that, I feel like I gave that right up to make that determination. Do I want it? Yeah. For me, it doesn't come that easy, but for some guys, this might be perfect. This is all that they need to do, and they feel redeemed. My personal story is deeper for me, and so redemption isn't going to come easy.
By the time I was 15, I ran away from home. I was living with my aunt. At that time, she had taken guardianship over me from the state. Child Protective Services took me away from my mom. There was a lot of abuse in my childhood. Part of the truth is that my mom had me at the age of 16 and did not know how to raise a child. She was equipped with the tools that she had as a 16-year-old, just as I was equipped with the tools that I had when I was 15. And so she did her best, and her best hurt me in a lot of ways, and I didn't know how to deal with that hurt. And so fast forwarding to 15 years old, I just had all this pent up hurt inside of me, didn't know what to do with it. And as a hurt person, all I knew how to do was then hurt other people. On January 25th, 1998, I and 3 others decided that we were going to assault another human being because 2 of us wanted to steal a car. The plan was for myself and 1 other to be lookouts. It didn't work out that way. All 4 of us ended up going into the apartment. And so once inside, about an hour passed, and I'm the one that initiated the attack. I used an aluminum baseball bat. I hit my victim 3 times to the back of his head. And then my co-defendant proceeded to hit him 4 more times to the back of his head and stabbed him 7 times in his neck. used bungee cords in his own hands to strangle him. We stole his car, we stole all of his belongings, or as much as we could and wanted to. And then about an hour later, we were pulled over in Barstow, California. Initially, when I was sentenced to a life sentence, I think I was numb. I didn't understand what that meant. My mom was there, and I felt very aware that she was there. I had no clue what was in store for me. I just know that I was being told that at some point in life I may get out of prison. I may have the possibility. Throughout my incarceration, I really thought that the process included finding others to love me. I grew up thinking that nobody would love me. My own parents, I felt like, didn't love me growing up. I always felt like I wasn't enough somehow growing up. So in a lot of ways, I kind of just perpetuated this story that I had to seek out acceptance from my external world, and that included in prison. What I found along the way is that throughout the entire process, what I was really seeking, and what I really believe that we all seek today, is to find that acceptance within. It's there the entire time, and yet I thought it was outside of me. I've been very fortunate to receive many gifts during my incarceration. A lot of people want to focus on what's wrong with the system, and my story includes what's so right about all the experiences that I've had. I've met so many good people. There's men on the inside right now who I love, who are my friends, and who I would not give up for anything. I've identified and explored all the parts of me that were hurting, and I've worked through them, and I continue to do so. I've received a lot during my incarceration.
In your own words, how would you define love?
Unconditional.
Everything's conditional in this life, right? You like me, you don't like me, you did this to me, everything's conditional. But with a dog, it doesn't matter. You have a bad day, I still love you. You had a good day, I really love you. You know, it doesn't matter. Well, love to me is being willing to sacrifice, being willing to put somebody else's needs before your own, being willing to just take time out of the day and just say, hey, this day's for you. And being willing to say, hey, I love you. That's what love is to me.
Somebody who committed murder has been gifted with so much stuff while in prison. A lot of people would say that that is not fair. And I wouldn't argue that. Whatever the pain story might be, what's innate about each and every one of us, about me, is that we are made of love. We are made of the capacity for resiliency to make and create what it is that we want in life. And I learned that while in prison.